Many true crime horror stories have resulted from dating apps like Tinder. Meeting new people online does not mean that we're safe from criminal minds. There are plenty of dating horror stories out there waiting to happen. Scary stories that sound fake but are 100% real, and can end in dark and disturbing ways you'll never believe to be true. Number 5. In 2017, 24-year-old Sydney Loof matched with a woman named Audrey through the popular dating app Tinder. Sydney was excited at the time, not realizing this online dating app would lead to a real-life horror story. Their first date, on November 14, 2017, went so well that the two women agreed on another date the very next night. Before leaving her home, Sydney snapped this final photo captioned "Ready for my date." This would be a normal photo if not for the dark and disturbing backstory that follows. According to true crime reports, Sydney left her home in Nebraska for Audrey's apartment in Wilbur. Once inside, Sydney met Audrey as planned, but was surprised to find a 51-year-old man named Aubrey Trail present as well. Her horror story has an unexpected ending. They began attacking Sydney and left her body to be found weeks later on a rural road in Clay County. On November 16, 2017, Sydney's friends and family alerted police investigators about her mysterious disappearance after she was absent from work. She was known to be a responsible and dependable employee, and her family had failed to make contact with her since the night before. An investigation of Sydney's apartment showed no crime scene clues, and it wasn't until detectives searched through her online activity that they found her dating app history, which led them to her last date and the evidence needed to solve this strange mystery. They searched the apartment of Audrey, whose real identity was 23-year-old Bailey Boswell, and while there was no sign of a struggle, investigators noted that there was a strong bleach smell, which they suspected could have been from a deep cleaning meant to hide crime scene evidence. The circumstantial evidence was not enough to arrest the couple, but now they were both criminal suspects in Sydney's unsolved case. It wasn't until weeks later that investigators would discover Sydney's missing body. The two were brought in for separate police interviews. Aubrey Trail made a shocking criminal confession during his interrogation, telling investigators that Sydney's demise was an act that got out of hand. He told investigators that Bailey was not in the room during this strange but true horror story. Despite this, Bailey was also arrested and charged as well. Number 4. On May 23, 2020, at around 9 p.m., 25-year-old Ashlyn Black matched with 24-year-old Ethan Hunsaker on the Tinder dating app. The events seemed far from a horror story, as the two agreed to meet up at a bar in Layton, Utah. Ashlyn was excited about her date and headed off to the bar, wondering where the night would take her. Unfortunately, what should have been a casual fling turned into one of the scariest online dating horror stories to ever exist. After arriving at the bar, Ethan and Ashlyn quickly hit it off, and the two soon headed for Ethan's home at 1300 North Reed Avenue. According to true crime reports from the Layton Police Department, Ethan and Ashlyn had relations, and as the night wore on, she decided to stay the night with her online date. Ashlyn felt safe and secure in Ethan's home, but little did she know what would happen next would be a tale of true horror. At 3:19 a.m., the Layton Police Department received a disturbing phone call from a resident at 1300 North Reed Avenue. The man on the other end of the phone was Ethan Hunsaker, and he carefully told the Layton Police Department a shocking criminal confession about what had happened to his date. He had awoken at 3 a.m. and unprovoked began attacking Ashlyn. Officers from the Layton Police Department arrived at Ethan's house within minutes and discovered her body. Ethan was swiftly arrested and gave a full confession to investigators, and that's when the cracks in Ethan's mental health began to show. Ethan's family and friends testified that following a breakup with the mother of his child, Ethan's demeanor had completely changed to that of a criminal. In his blind hatred, Ethan confessed to investigators that he'd been planning to kidnap and attack a random woman, and that his online match on Tinder with Ashlyn provided him with the perfect opportunity. Ashlyn's family were devastated by the news, and to make this story even more heartbreaking, her family would later tell the media that Ashlyn had been planning on adopting a child and that she had been thriving as a carer for children with special needs. For his crimes, Ethan Hunsaker was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. According to the Salt Lake City Tribune, Hunsaker pleaded guilty but mentally ill, and he will be committed to the Utah State Hospital for no more than 18 months or until his mental state has been stabilized. Number 3. When 63-year-old Bobby Scott matched with 20-year-old Michael Harris Jr., he had no idea that he was about to become the center of a truly horrifying dating app story. Bobby was in an open relationship with his husband, and as such, Bobby would scour dating apps looking for casual meetings. In January of 2021, Michael and Bobby matched, and the two agreed to meet on the 17th of that month. On that day, Bobby left his home in Daytona Beach, Florida, and headed for the gym. He sent his final text to his husband at 12:07 p.m., telling him that he was heading to D-Land to meet with Michael. After arriving at the home of Michael Harris Jr., Bobby disappeared, and on January 18, 2021, his husband reported him missing to the county sheriff's office. Investigators used anti-theft tracking info on his car to triangulate a location and retrace his final moments before vanishing. Officers found Michael driving Bobby's car. He told police that Bobby had asked to be driven to Orlando and that he said he could use his car for a week. Investigators did not believe this story and further confirmed their suspicions when the car's logs did not show it traveling to Orlando. A forensic search of the car showed multiple pieces of crime scene evidence that suggested Bobby was no longer alive and that the attack had taken place in the car. Following this, Michael was charged and arrested and taken in by the county sheriff's office. When the story of Michael's arrest broke, several witnesses and victims came forward to tell investigators similar dating horror stories of meeting with Michael only to be robbed and blackmailed. Bobby's body was found days later in a wooded area. The unsolved case against Michael Harris Jr. is currently ongoing, and he is expected to appear in court in the coming months. Number 2. 26-year-old Francia Ruth Ibarra of León, Mexico, was a promising medical student who was known to be very responsible. So when she failed to meet up with her friends on December 3, 2016, she was reported as a missing person. One of the most horrifying online dating stories ever is what investigators would later find. Investigators soon learned that Francia had met 26-year-old Emmanuel Delany Valdez Bocanegra through the online dating app Tinder. The two had been talking for a few weeks and had even gone on a few dates, but Francia had kept this hidden from her friends and family, as Emmanuel didn't want to meet them. It was the beginning of a real-life horror story that she sadly would not survive. After examining Francia's phone records and online activity, they determined that the last person that she was with was her date, Emmanuel. A full search of his apartment was ordered. As officers entered, they had no idea the true horror story of what they were about to discover within. As the scary story goes, officers discovered a full-on crime scene with various caustic chemicals such as hydrochloric acid and lime, along with garbage bags full of human remains. A full forensic analysis of the remains determined that the DNA evidence found in the bags belonged to Francia. Emmanuel had utilized hydrochloric acid and other chemicals in the home in a failed attempt to dispose of the evidence and throw off any criminal investigation. Emmanuel was arrested by authorities, and since 2016, there have been no updates regarding his trial or his sentence. Number 1. In December of 2015, 23-year-old Katie Locke was scrolling through the App Store when she came across Plenty of Fish, a popular dating site in the UK. Katie carefully made her dating profile, and within hours she matched with 26-year-old Carl Langdell. The two strengthened their relationship over the course of a few weeks, and on December 23, 2015, Just days before Christmas, the two agreed to meet for their first date. Katie dressed in her best clothes and headed out into East London to meet with Carl. The two sipped drinks at a fancy bar and got to know each other better. It was clear that there was a spark between them. However, as the evening wore on, Carl had had too much to drink and needed someone to take care of him. Katie decided to go back with him to his room at the Theobald's Park Hotel. Katie ended up staying with Carl in the hotel, and she requested 2 toothbrushes for the room. By the morning of December 24th, 2015, only one person left the hotel, and that was Carl. When Katie later failed to contact her family, they contacted the police. A wide-scale search for Katie was orchestrated, and that was when her body was discovered in a bush close to the hotel. When questioned, Carl confessed to everything. Katie's medical examination revealed that she had likely been attacked as soon as she had gotten into the room, and that Carl had slept in the bed where her body lay. Carl had also taken morbid videos and photographs, which served as additional evidence in his criminal case. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. In February of 2021, Carl was found deceased in his cell, aged 30, bringing the case to a chilling conclusion. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.